Hello there, I'm Couch Coop and welcome to the first 5 more PS4 Couch Co-op and split screen games of 2021. And yes, I am going to let this awesome intro play out and tell me who you recognise because they're all in here. Yes, first up it is Bounty Battle on the PlayStation 4. This is sitting on the store at £8, currently under discount, and it's a brawler, up to 4-player brawler, featuring some of the most coolest indie game characters out there. The Dead Cells dude's in here, Blasphemous is in there, you got Darkest Dungeon, Markle, and Physical. Is this as good as Brawlhalla? Brawlhalla is a free-to-play PlayStation brawler that's actually very good, featuring like 30 plus characters and the Smash Brothers setup down to the T. This does have a Smash Brothers setup with the percentage on energy getting knocked off, but there's a few other nuances. It's actually quite good. It looks a bit of a mess, but it's actually quite good. Each character you choose has kind of a unique move. Like the Guacamole guys is completely different to the Dead Cells guys, and they're instigated after a while after you build a meter. There's also a coin system that allows you to bring in a minion. You push the big black button on the pad and you call in like quite a formidable helper. That's a really big aspect to how the battles can be swung. Is it better than Brawlhalla? Well, it's a really close one because Brawlhalla's free but is stuffed full of microtransactions. This is a one-off payment and you have access to all of the character rosters. As far as the mechanics go, I think Brawlhalla's maybe a little bit closer to the Smash Brothers series, but there's nothing wrong with this game carving out its own thing. And brawlers are brilliant. They're brilliant party games, they're funny, they're competitive, they can cause all manner of bust-up. Visually, it's also quite impressive, sporting some great level design and having some multi-tiered levels as well, which I think is important. Some of the levels can have the cliff drop-off at either end, and some of them can have platforms in. It's good to have that choice. So, I'll leave it with you. Bounty Battle, in at number 5. Neuro, Voiders, Vaders? Vaders is better, right? Voiders, doesn't matter. It's all cyberpunk, innit? It's all retro, it's all 8-bit, it's all twin stick, it's all multiplayer. Up to 4 players again. This one bills itself as a roguelite with RPG elements. It actually says it's an RPG, and I can see what it's getting at because you choose the design of your robot prior to starting a run, and you can add some really mad additions to your playstyle revolving around the choices you make with this equipment. Like there's a shield, there's a grenade launcher, there's a shotgun, there's so many choice of loadout even before you start a run that it's obvious that this game is pointing towards that cool snap-on tech element. It's also quite a bullet hell game. It does sport loads of projectiles from you and the enemies. It goes crazy, but I love that idea, and it sounds pretty awesome as well and not too difficult, which is a surprise for a roguelike. As far as exploring the different builds and style of robot that you can take out on runs, I haven't done enough of that. I have got to look at a lot of the different level types, and you can immediately choose your environment. One of the hilarious things about the ice level is that your robot actually slides around on the ice, which adds a really awesome, quite difficult randomization to all of your aiming. Up in the middle of the screen we've got the reactors destroyed, and most of the maps will have that as an objective, and there is no overhead HUD as far as I'm aware. What I mean is a map screen, so you're feeling around looking for these reactors, and you also have an EP meter, which is the cooldown on all of your alt firing. It's really interesting because it uses both L2 and R2 triggers to fire. You'll have a primary and secondary weapon, and it's very cool switching them out or having them both going at the same time. Not a lot of roguelikes or twin sticks have that element. Again, currently under that 70% January discount. It's £3 on the British PSN store, UK PSN store. Also not available physical to my knowledge, but it is available on Steam and Switch. This is a top roguelike, and sporting 4 players is a big ask, I think. That's one of the things I wanted to touch on. Is I kind of found it a little bit difficult to see what was going on with 2 people. 4 people on this would be some madness. At that cost, and if you're a fan of the genre and you're after something that is more than 1 player when it comes to a roguelike or roguelike game, this is really cool. And 8-bit, 16-bit art style, great soundtrack as well. Nero Voiders.
Promise to help each other, celebrate the joys.
I genuinely thought, what the hell was going on? When I started this game, it looks like the start of a best of the worst episode or something. I was like, is this You've Been Framed? I was really impressed that they actually put some real-time video in there. But it's moving out, and it's done with the brilliant 80s aesthetic on the intro and the training. It's if any of you are old enough to remember when TV used to look like this with these stupid colours and grids, they really nailed it. Of course it is Team 17, and of course we do have a huge Overcooked vibe here, but this is its own thing. We've got a very similar map, and of course you guessed it, it is a co-op moving out game that has a lot of destructibles and a lot of really funny physics in it, and some great caveats to each level which make it very interesting. There'll be some stuff like don't break a single window, or that vase over there is extremely precious, and so you have to maneuver everything around it. You have a number of items up there in the top left, which is the amount of things you have to remove from the house, and you have a strict time limit and graded on how well you can reach said limit. But it's so funny because to get things done quick, you need to communicate and need to have a plan. So you can never do the level first really quickly. You have to sort of feel around and then go, right, we know what to do. And slinging stuff around and breaking the windows and pulling a SNES out of the wall. It's a NES, not a SNES. And the wire stretching, you know, as it pings off. This is a very adorable game. Its longevity comes in the form of some well-placed unlocks that if you know Overcooked, you know how well they do that with different character designs, maybe with idle dance, that sort of thing. But of course, progressing to different building tiers and structure types, so a multi-level building really does start to change the dynamic. If you see in the trailer, there's people jumping on like fans that send you up in the air and cliff edges and all manner of crazy stuff. And you know the team that make these games, they do not hold back when it comes to creative craziness. Some of the objects of course require 2 people, and the physics on maneuvering it around, if you're both at the correct end and it can turn easily, is so good. And the communication with getting it through a doorway and someone being in the way, it really does create some great atmospheres and hilarious arguments about, you know, trying to throw a bed the correct way into the back of this. It never goes right. It's so much fun. This is so recommended. Moving Out. I've been playing this all week. Confession time, we're at number 4, and I've been playing this all week. 8-bit roguelike, man, and with a toughness, a gritty toughness. This is incredible. Strictly 2-player, one of them roguelikes that layers the character progression system, gives you new characters, and gives each character some depth with weapon progression. You can change your starting weapon if you keep using a character and developing them. But holy crap is it funny, and holy crap is it gory, and it's all about reload speed. Like, you will be obsessed with how much bullets you can get out of your gun as quick as possible and how small a time it takes to reload the damn thing. You'll be constantly picking stuff up and putting stuff down in a good way. And the enemies are so funny. I laugh out, it's morbid, I know, but I laugh out loud at this game all the time. Look at the lasso dude. There is a melee button and there is a roll button, and you're supposed to use them more than I actually do. The roll button's actually really handy to get out of the way of bullets, but the melee is just like a suicide mission. But you're supposed to be able to sneak up, and that's what the exclamation mark is. So you can sort of alert them, and you don't want a whole camp coming after you. You just won't be able to cope with it. But sometimes you don't care, and you just the music starts up, and you just get lost in it. It's a really great game, this. It's a companions drop thing and a random upgrades area, like traders as well. And we found an AI sort of companion. He was a bit crazy. They couldn't get the tutorial off his, and it was too distracting. But you can order him to go and stand in places. When you play the one player, having an AI companion is really important. Finding it's like the ultimate perk, bit like on The Blinding of Isaac or something. The Binding of Isaac, you tit. Cold Canyon is actually one of the few that isn't on discount, annoyingly, but it is available on all 3 platforms, including the Switch, even with its blood and gore, and it's £12. I think that's okay. It's a beautiful 2-player roguelike, and we don't get enough of them, and this art style and music and gore is just way too unique to be ignored. Just before the quick reveal, you may have noticed there was no 1.5 minute long sponsorship, no sub now, but if you're into split screen and couch co-op, then subscribe, because I pump these out all the time. There's a big playlist of about 50 of these. Go and have a look. Plus, I'm on Insta and I'm cyberpunk obsessed. Yeah, it's Trine 4. Number 5 is Trine 4, and by the way, it's $7. It's $7.50, which will be, what, £5 on the store? This is normally a £30 game. That's kind of what put me back from getting it, but it's now proper cheap and so worth it. Trines 1 to 3 are also available as a singular package as well. Keep an eye out for them if it's the first time you've ever seen this game. Pitching this is like, it's the perfect co-op action platform game. You play as a character that can switch between 3 others, all with unique moves, and the same goes for your buddy, which turns out loads of problem solving outcomes. I mean, looking at it is a pleasure. The first 3 looked good. This one is gone crazy. And there's also an on-the-fly upgrade system, which is new for me. I don't remember delving into that much on the previous games. And another important thing, they have changed and ruined nothing. It's so cool that they've kept everything the same. They've just given you new puzzles and new, better-looking levels. Not enough combat for me, though. I think it's a bit puzzle-heavy for my liking, but I think things get a bit rawer in later levels. But so far, we are so enjoying this. What a beautiful little game. Again, a bit like Moving Out, we've got a fantastic physics engine here. Always was quite famed for it, but there's some great gravity and also swinging mechanics put in, and the puzzles really revolve around a lot of that. You will do a lot of head scratching, but in a really great way, and of course come up with crazy ideas. There's always more than one way to do a puzzle, which is very welcome. Family friendly to the core as well, not overly complicated, and it's one of the few games that I actually enjoy watching. This and Rayman Legends are kind of on par with their beauty, and the way that we experimented with this bridge and nearly died, and I was like, you're not going to do it that way, and it's just so cool that the game says, no, everyone can do everything how they think it's feasible, and 9 times out of 10 it kind of works. It's a real joy to play, a real joy to look at, and a real joy to have it at such an incredible discount. I've never tried this game, the 4th game, in 3-player, so I'll be doing that coming up. The first 3 games are very strong in that direction, so we'll see what it's like. Oh blimey, it's a tiny bit of combat. Okay, let's talk about my couch co-op and split screen schedule. I'm holding back on reviewing the split screen version of the new Call of Duty because I want to review it on the 5, and I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet because I flat refuse to give the scalpers any money whatsoever. I am waiting for an over-the-counter retail flooding of the market, which should be happening at the middle of January. It's a crazy situation. That also goes for Little Big Planet, and of course Cyberpunk will be getting re-reviewed and everything done all over again on the PlayStation 5. It's going to have to be done, so as always.